Thank you, Peter. And thank you all for joining Botanics Pharmaceuticals in this investor presentation. Botanics Pharmaceuticals is a clinically staged dermatology company focused in the key areas of dermatology and antimicrobial indications. We do this through using our proprietary topical delivery technology called Permatrex combined with a synthetic form of cannabidiol or CBD. Our pipeline is focused in large multi-billion-dollar categories where large generations of prescriptions and dollars in the United States in big key markets such as acne, rosacea, atopic dermatitis, and bacterial infections are found. We're quite pleased with the world-class experienced team that we've assembled, primarily in the United States, but also in Australia. Today's presentation is going to focus on our upcoming catalysts, that are those milestones that are going to occur over the next 12 to 18 months. By way of introduction, my name is Vince Ippolito. I'm the president and executive chairman here at Botanics Pharmaceuticals. I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for almost 35 years. Most recently, I've been involved in two of the largest dermatology transactions that have occurred. That is the sale of Medicis Pharmaceuticals to Valeant for $2.4 billion and the sale of Anacor Pharmaceuticals to Pfizer for $5.2 billion. Really, those sales demonstrating the attractiveness of this market sector. So let's take a look at our advanced and late-staged pipeline here. The pipeline is really broken into two categories, that is antimicrobial research and dermatology research. At the top, you see BTX 1801, our antimicrobial study. Most recently, we announced positive phase 2 results of that study, which is leading us to a further study to occur in the first quarter of 2022. I'll get into the details of that study a little bit later. BTX 1702 is our dermatology rosacea study that is well underway with a target completion of mid-2022. I'll get into the details of that study shortly. BTX 1503 is our acne study. This is our phase 3 ready asset that will really be informed by its final design once BTX 1702, that is the rosacea study, is completed. All of these clinical studies utilize our proprietary technology, that is Permatrex, as its topical delivery system. So you might be asking yourself, well, why synthetic cannabinoids to treat these diseases? Well, it turns out that synthetic cannabinoids, or CBD, is very well suited for common skin diseases and infections. Matter of fact, over the last several decades, it's been proven, and most certainly the research that Botanics has conducted over the last couple of years shows synthetic CBD to be safe and well tolerated, even at the very high doses that we're currently studying, such as in our BTX 1801 antimicrobial study and our current rosacea study. It's proven to show broad anti-inflammatory properties, which is common in most dermatologic skin conditions, and antimicrobial properties, such as the killing of Staph aureus or MRSA. These utilizations of both anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial aspects have a widespread use across human and animal health. So why don't we dig into the details of our clinical platform right now, and I'll start off with our dermatology platform, and that is BTX 1702, our rosacea study. Now, most people are familiar or know someone with rosacea. It's commonly characterized as a person who blushes easier. And whether those triggers are environmental triggers, they're an immune response, or sometimes even the drinking of alcohol can cause the trigger of rosacea. This is a very frustrating disease for the patients who suffer from it. Now, there are many different forms of the disease. The particular form that we're studying here at Botanics is called papular-pustular rosacea, which is characterized by acne-like breakouts. There are over 16 million Americans in the US that suffer from rosacea, and 85% of those patients are over the age of 30. So you can imagine, as an adult suffering with this disease, there are many comorbidities associated with it, such as depression, social anxiety, embarrassment, or just overall decreased quality of life to try to control these rosacea triggers. So these are highly motivated patients that are looking for new treatments that are safe and effective to control their papular-pustular rosacea. Our current phase 1/phase 2 study is 3 dose groups of 120 patients. We have a high dose group, a low dose group, and a vehicle arm, that is the placebo arm, making up the 120 patients. It's over 15 sites across Australia and New Zealand, and we're studying this in adults with moderate to mild papular-pustular rosacea. The study will be conducted for 8 weeks, and as I mentioned earlier, targeted to complete in mid-2022. Now, this is primarily a safety and tolerability study. However, we will look at those clinical efficacy endpoints that we will be held accountable for from the FDA in what would be a phase 3 study, so we could look at the efficacy, not only the safety and tolerability, but the efficacy outcomes in controlling papular-pustular rosacea. Let's transition into our antimicrobial platform with BTX-1801. As I mentioned earlier here, we had demonstrated results in our phase 2A study, which we announced earlier this year. That was in the reduction of post-surgical infections from nasal decolonization of these patients. And in that nasal decolonization study, we showed eradication rates as high as 76% at day 7. And that eradication rate extended throughout day 28, even though treatment stopped at day 5, showing really strong results. So with these efficacy results in hand, we've decided to initiate a new BTX-1801 study. And again, it is for nasal decolonization for post-surgical infections, but in a group of individuals that are very high risk, that is hemodialysis patients. Now, hemodialysis patients undergo treatment several times a week, and these patients are at risk of bloodstream infections. And these bloodstream infections can be very serious or life-threatening to these patients, often involving hospitalization of these patients, or there are other comorbidities and mortalities associated with those bloodstream infections. Today, there are no approved treatments for nasal decolonization in this patient population, thus demonstrating a real need for this study. So we're excited to kick this off, as I mentioned, in the first quarter of 2022. So in summary here, I've gone over the key clinical milestones that you could expect over the next 12 to 18 months. Most certainly just covered BTX-1801 in the kickoff of that phase 2 study in the first quarter of 2022. The rosacea study, BTX-1702, as I mentioned, is well underway, recruiting throughout Australia and New Zealand right now, targeted complete in mid-2022. And as I mentioned, that study will inform the final design and outcome of our phase 3 ready acne study, that is BTX-1503. Now, I didn't go over our canine dermatitis study, which is BTX-1204A, because of time restraints here, but we initiated a canine proof of concept study in atopic dermatitis. That particular study is also targeted to read out in the first half of 2022. So multiple shots on goal here in the next 12 to 18 months for Botanic Pharmaceuticals, again, all utilizing our proprietary technology and topical delivery system we call Permatrex. I would encourage you all to learn more about Botanics by visiting our website at botanics.com and consider investing in Botanics as part of your overall investment strategy. Thank you.